Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to a special edition of Dice and Third Baseman. Today marks the 2000th game of season ticket baseball that I've rolled since the game was published formally in December of 2021. And I thought rather than just roll on with one of my projects, I'd take a moment to play something a little bit special and make a YouTube video of it for posterity. So to that end, season ticket designer and developer Clay Dresslock has given me something a little special for this afternoon. So a lot of people have been asking about the status of the dead ball seasons prior to the 1919 season, which is the earliest one that Clay has released thus far. And yes, those are coming, and today we'll have a little bit of proof of life, as Clay has sent me pre-production copies of the 1918 set. And so for today's double Millennium special, we're going to go to Comiskey Park in Chicago in 1918 for Game 1 of the World Series between the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs. Now you might be thinking, Comiskey Park? I thought you said the Cubs. Well, it was not uncommon practice back in the dead ball era in two-team cities for the team that made the World Series to take advantage of the capacity of the other stadium in the city if they could get more fans in and produce more gate. In fact, the Red Sox did that themselves in 1915 and 1916, and the Cubs would do it here in 1918, playing their home games at the home of the White Sox, Comiskey Park. The Red Sox of 1918 had won their fourth pennant in 7 years. This time it was a bit of a dogfight. It was a three-team race between the Red Sox, the Indians, and Nationals that went down to the final week before the Red Sox finally clinched. In the National League, the Cubs won their first pennant in 8 years, more or less at a canter with a double-digit lead over the Giants and the Reds by the end of the season. So without further ado, let's head down to the field and meet the starting lineups. The Red Sox will send up in Game 1 of the World Series Harry Hooper leading off and playing right field. Dave Sheen will bat second and play second. Amos Strunk is the center fielder and he bats third. The cleanup hitter is George Whiteman in left. Then Stuffy McGinnis at first, Everett Scott at shortstop, Fred Thomas at third, Sam Agnew behind the plate, and Babe Ruth doing the catching. Now, in 1918, Babe hit .300 with a .555 slugging percentage, yet he was still batting ninth when he pitched. The Red Sox would finally figure this out in 1919, and even though he was only a part-time pitcher at that point, they did start batting him cleanup on days that he pitched. The Cubs will counter with this lineup in Game 1, and for those of you that have been following along with my 1919 National League replay, you'll recognize all these names. Max Flack is the leadoff hitter. He'll play right. Charlie Holliker in the two-hole will play short. Les Mann bats third and plays left. Dode Paskert in the cleanup spot playing center field. Then Fred Merkel at first. Charlie Pick at second. Charlie Deal at third. Bill Killefer behind the plate, and on the mound, Hippo Vaughn, who led the National League in both wins and earned run average in 1918. All the pregame festivities appear to have been completed, so let's head down to the field here at Comiskey Park and get Game 1 of the 1918 World Series underway. So leading off for the Red Sox will be right fielder Harry Hooper. And Vaughn delivers the first pitch of the 1918 World Series. That's a 120. That makes it a 320. And that's a grounder to first. It'll be fielded there by Merkel, and he'll step on the bag for the first out. Dave Sheen steps in. 6-0-2. That'll be a hard ground ball to shortstop. Holliker up with it over to first, and there's 2 away. And that'll bring up the number 3 hitter, Amos Strunk. .198, and that is skied to left. Moving under it is Les Mann, and he pounds the glove and puts it away for the third out. And the Sox go quietly in the top of the first. And here come the Cubs. In front of the, quote, home crowd at Comiskey Park. And Max Flack will stand in to lead it off for the National League champs. That's a 116. And that's a bouncer to first base. Stuffy McGinnis has it. He'll flip to the Babe covering, and there's 1 away. That brings up Charlie Holliker. 5-0-1. The base is empty. That'll be a rare play. A 198. And that'll be a no play. Would be a pitching injury, but we're not taking the Babe out of this exhibition game. And pitch to Holliker. 374. That's skied to left. Moving a couple of steps to his right is George Whiteman, and he'll make the catch. And there's 2 away from the Cubs, and Les Mann will stand in. 672 at home. That's a 682. And that'll be laced into left field for a base hit. So first hit. First base runner of the 1918 World Series is Les Mann. He's at first. The auto manager die is a 2. He's a steal of 4, so he's going to try to get a jump for second. Steal 4 against a hold 5. He needs 11, and he gets it. He's going with a speed 4. And the Boston catcher, Sam Agnew, has an arm of 5. So he'll need an 11 or better to steal second. And he does not get it. Gunned down on the stolen base attempt. So caught stealing 2-4. No runs and a hit, and 1 left for the Cubs. Sorry, none left. Erased on the stolen base attempt. And we go to the top of the second with no score. Whiteman will lead it off for the Red Sox. 123. That's a 323. That's a bouncer short. No problem for Charlie Holliker over to first and 1 away. And Stuffy McGinnis. 664. That's hit back to the mound on a couple of bounces. Or it's fielded by Vaughn. And he throws over to first for the second out. And Red Sox defensive shortstop extraordinaire Everett Scott will come to the plate. Vaughn kicks and deals. That's a 529. That gets by Killefer, but with nobody on, no damage. Scott stands in again. 292 against a righty, and Scott hits that one deep to left. He's a power 0. So that's 7 to left. And that'll fall in for a bloop single. So the Red Sox get their first hit with 2 away here in the second. Thomas is on first. The auto manager dies a 4, which is above Scott's speed. However, he is a speed 4, and the Cubs catcher Killefer's an arm 5 with a tie game. The auto manager says he will go for a jump. So he is a steal 3 against a hold 6, so he'll need a 13 or better to get the jump. He does not get it, and he's almost picked off. He dives back in just in time. And Thomas will get up there and swing the bat against Vaughn. That's a 183. That's ball 4. So now the Red Sox have 2 on and 2 away, and the number 8 hitter, Sam Agnew, at the plate. The pitch is a 223 against a righty, and that's hit hard on the ground to second. Up with it is Charlie Pick, and he'll make the easy flip to first. For the out that retires the side, so there's no runs on a hit and 2 left for the Red Sox. And the first threat of the game, but we go to the bottom of the second and there's still no score. And Fred Merkle will stand in to face the Bambino. 364, and that's skied in the air down the right field line. Looks like Stuffy McGinnis will have room. He takes a couple of steps into foul territory, and he makes the grab for the first out, and Merkle is gone. Sorry, Paskert is gone. Yep. Apologies, that was Paskert. So the stolen base attempt. Now it's Merkle. Would have been an out either way. 258 against a righty. That's hit hard on the ground to third. Up with it and over to first is Fred Thomas, and there's 2 away. And Charlie Pick stands in, the Cubs' second baseman. It's a 194. And Pick is going to bloop that one into center field for a base hit. So second hit of the game for the Cubs. And Charlie Deal will come to the plate. 239 against a righty. That's a bouncer to third base. Again, Thomas has it. And again over to first for the out that retires the side. Cubs get a hit and they leave a man, but don't do any damage. And we go to the top of the third in a scoreless ball game. And Babe Ruth will lead it off for the Red Sox from the 9-hole. Vaughn looks in at the young left-handed would-be slugger, and the pitch. 348. Swing and a miss. Down goes the Bambino. Big cut and no payoff, and there's 1 away for the Red Sox in the third. And back to the top of the menu and Harry Hooper. 231 against a lefty. That is bounced on the ground to first base. Up with it is Merkle, and he flips to Vaughn as he runs past the bag and stomps on it for the second out. And that'll bring up Dave Sheen. Grounded to short his first time up. 497 against a lefty. And Sheen skies that one to center. That's a can of corn for Dode Paskert. And the Red Sox go in order in the third. And the Cubs will come up in the bottom of the inning with the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, led off by catcher Bill Killefer. 188. Throws that one to the backstop, but nobody on, so no damage. 444 against a lefty. And that's a base hit to center field by the Cubs catcher. So for the first time in the game, a leadoff man is reached. Killefer speed 4 against Agnew's arm 5. So he'll try to get a jump. He's a steal 1 against a hold 5, so he needs a 14 or better. He doesn't get it. So they can't get the runner moving, but they will try to sacrifice here with Hippo Vaughn. He's a bunt 3. And 9 more is 12, and that's going to be 2 strikes as he misses the bunt. They'll keep the bunt on. Vaughn tries again. This time he gets 11 plus his 3, which is a 14, and he fouls it off for the 3rd strike. So failure to execute there by the Cubs as Vaughn strikes out trying to sacrifice the runner. Ruth's first strikeout of the game. And there's 1 out and Killefer still at first. Gonna try it again to get the jump. Again, steal 1 against a hold 5. Doesn't get it. And Flack will swing away. That's a 5-30. That's going to be trouble. It's bounced down to McGinnis at first. He throws to second where Scott's covering and back to first for the double play. So the Cubs had the right strategic idea, trying to get the runner going. They fail to execute, and Flack grounds into a 3-6-3 double play. The Cubs get a leadoff hit, yet leave no one. And we're through 3 innings with a score here at Comiskey Park. Red Sox nothing and Cubs nothing. We'll start the middle third of the game with Amos Strunk leading it off for the Red Sox. He flied to left his first time up. 439 against a lefty. That's bounced to first, where it'll be handled unassisted by Fred Merkel. And there's 1 away for the Red Sox, and that brings up George Whiteman. The pitch from Vaughn. That's a 5-22. And that's beautifully framed by Killefer, and that's a strikeout looking. Vaughn's second whiff of the game, and the Red Sox have 2 away and Stuffy McGinnis at the plate. 5:04 with the bases empty. 6:50. That'll be a rare play. So that's hit into foul ground along the right field line over towards the stands. Going over to get it is Merkel. He makes the catch as he falls into the stands. So an outstanding play by Merkel. Again, we're not going to check for any injuries here, so that's a foul out by McGinnis. The Sox go in order in the top of the 4th. And we go to the bottom of the inning, where Charlie Holliker will lead it off for the Cubs. Holliker skied to left his first time up. That's a 418 against a lefty, and that's another fly ball to left. I'm pretty sure Holliker now knows where George Whiteman stands. Whiteman puts that one away for the first out of the inning, and Les Mann steps in. He singled and was caught stealing in the first. 377. And Mann hits that one on the ground. And Everett Scott fires it across the diamond to first. And there's 2 away for the Cubs. Dode Paskert fouled out to Stuffy McGinnis his first time up. That's a 321. That's a swing and a miss. So Ruth gets him swinging on the changeup. And the Cubs go in order in the 4th. So we've got a pitcher's duel going here at Comiskey Park. Through 4 innings, no score. The White Sox with 1 hit and the Cubs with 3. And Everett Scott will lead it off for the Red Sox in the top of the 5th. That's a 6-11. That's popped up on the infield. Second baseman Charlie Pick moves over towards the second base bag and catches the pop-up for the first out. And that'll bring up third baseman Fred Thomas. Vaughn looks in for the sign and he delivers. 186. That's ball 4 to the Red Sox third baseman, who has walked both times he's faced Vaughn today. So Thomas at first. The auto manager dies a 4, which is less than his steal of 6, so he's going to try to get a jump. Steal 6 against a hold 6. He'll need a 10 or better. Not only is he going, but both D10s are higher than Vaughn's fielding of 7, so that's a wild throw to first on the pickoff. And Thomas will go to second. So first error of the game goes to Hippo Vaughn. And the Red Sox now have a runner at second with 1 out and Sam Agnew at the plate. And Babe Ruth on deck. Pitch to Agnew. 561. That's going to be hit to Holliker. And that's a hard hit ground ball. Holliker has it. He looks Thomas back to second. He throws over to first for the second out. And Agnew's retired and doesn't advance the runner. And here comes the Babe with her go-ahead run on second and 2 outs here in the 5th. Okay. Vaughn is going to pitch around Ruth. That's a 167. And he gets the Babe to sky to center. Under it is Dode Paskert, and he makes the catch to retire the side. So no runs on a hit. The Sox do leave 1 in scoring position. And the Babe can't come through. We go to bottom of 5. We're halfway through with no score. And Fred Merkel will lead it off for the Cubs. He grounded a third his first time up. 638 at home is 648. That's a grounder to third base. Thomas fields it on the second hop and flips it over to first. 1 down for the Cubs. And that brings up Charlie Pick. He singled for one of the Cubs' 3 hits in the second inning. Got a 506 with the bases empty. Now we'll go to the rare play charts. 333. That's a called strike for 0-2. We'll leave the possible ejection out for now. So 0-2 count to Pick. 460 against a lefty. And that's hit in the air again to center field. Amos Strunk is there, and that's out number 2 for the Cubs. And Charlie Deal steps in. He grounded a third his first time. 111, and that's bounced back to Ruth on the mound. Takes 3 steps to first and underhands to McGinnis for the out that retires the side. And nothing doing for the Cubs in the 5th. We go to the 6th inning, still a scoreless tie as things get tense here at Comiskey Park. And the Red Sox will have the top of the order and Harry Hooper. That's a 227 against a lefty. And Hooper takes one of the ribs from Vaughn, and he's hit by the pitch. And so the Sox again get the leadoff batter on. And Nothing doing with the auto manager. That'll bring up Sheen, who's a bunt 8. He is going to look to sacrifice. So we've got 10, 18, and 8 is 26. On the bunt chart, and that's a beautiful bunt to the pitcher. And Sheen has a chance to beat it out. So Vaughn is an arm 1, and Sheen is a speed 2. So Vaughn will need 11 or better to retire him at first. He does. He gets a 13, so it's a sacrifice. Pitcher to first. And Sheen moves Hooper down to second with 1 out. And the 3-hole hitter Strunk at the plate. Now the auto manager die is a 3. And Hooper's steal is an 8. So he's going to attempt to take third here with 1 out and get into scoring position for the sac fly. So he's a steal of 8 against a hold of 6, so he needs an 8 or better. He is going, and he's a speed 2 against an arm 5, so he needs a 13 or better to steal third. And he gets a 14, stolen base. Gary Hooper steals third. And now the Red Sox have the go-ahead run 90 feet away with Strunk at the plate. We're going to bring the infield in. Hooper's only a speed 2. But he is going to go on contact. So Hooper dances off third. Vaughn looks in at Strunk. Here's the pitch. 173, and that's ball 4. So third walk allowed by Hippo Vaughn. And now the Sox have runners at the corners and 1 out. And Whiteman at the plate. And the Cubs will play the corners in the middle of the infield back now, hoping to get out of the inning with a double play. 5:04. Rare play. First and third. 1 out. That'd be the runner on first chart. It's a 4:37. Pitch in the dirt, bounces away from the catcher. Runner 1 must try to advance to second by successfully challenging the catcher's arm. The runner's safe scores a pass ball. Well, it'll certainly be a pass ball because the runner on third will score the go-ahead run. But now, Strunk well, actually, you know what? It's a 50-50 play. The runner's probably holding third. One of those interesting situations here. We're going to use a decide or die. Even Hooper scores, Audie holds at third. So he'll score, and now Strunk with the speed 3 is going to challenge the Killefer's arm to get to second. He's an arm 5. So Strunk needs a 12 or better to reach second. 11-14, and he does it. So it's a pass ball. Hooper scores from third. Strunk takes second, and the Red Sox take the lead here in the top of the 6th, 1-0. And now Whiteman's still at the plate with a runner at second and 1 out. 250 against a right-handed batter, and that's a swing and a miss. Third strikeout for Vaughn. Second time he's gotten Whiteman. And McGinnis will come up, still with a man in scoring position, but now with 2 outs. 244 against a righty. Another strikeout. So Vaughn bears down after his catcher lets him down. Strikes out the last 2 men of the inning. The Red Sox get a run on no hits. And they leave one, a hit batsman, a sacrifice, and a stolen base, and a pass ball. Welcome to the dead ball era, ladies and gentlemen. And we go to the bottom of the 6th with the score. Red Sox 1 and Cubs nothing. And Bill Killefer will lead it off for Chicago against Babe. Pitch 150. And that's laced into left for a leadoff single for Killefer. Well, I think we've got to try to bunt here again, even though Vaughn made a fist of it last time. And it looks like he's going to do it again. So 3 and 3 is 6, and his bunt 3 is a 9. That's a potential double play, so it's bunted back to the mound. He'll throw to shortstop for 1. And now Scott has a chance, Everett Scott has a chance to complete the double play. He is an arm 2, and Vaughn, somewhat surprisingly, is a speed 4. He must have run a few times. So Scott needs a 12 or better to complete the double play. 10-15, and he does. So the first time Vaughn looks to sacrifice, he fouls it off for strike 3. The second time, he bunts into a 1-6-3 double play. Lack of small ball fundamentals killing the Cubs here so far in Game 1. That'll bring Max Flack up with the bases empty. And 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th. It's a 583. So that's hit in the air to Strunk. And he will make the catch. Just barely, as he's only a range 3. But he does make the catch. And the Cubs get no runs on a hit, and they leave nobody. And we're through 6 here at Comiskey Park in Game 1 of the 1918 World Series. The Red Sox lead 1-0, and they'll send up Everett Scott to lead it off in the 7th. Scott is singled and popped to second. 203, that's a 403 against a lefty, and that's bounced back to the mound. Vaughn has plenty of time, and he'll throw to first for the out. There's 1 away. Fred Thomas stands in. He's walked twice. 406, and he will walk for a 3rd time. So the Red Sox third baseman seems like he's picking up the ball pretty well out of the hand of Hippo Vaughn. He gets his 3rd walk in 3 plate appearances. And that'll bring up Agnew with a runner at first and 1 away. 190. And that's bounced to third base. Hit slowly on the ground. Up with it is Deal, and he'll flip over to first across the diamond, but Thomas will move up to second on the ground out. And once again, the Red Sox have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs and Ruth at the plate. And once again, Vaughn will elect to pitch around Ruth. 549. But Ruth hits that one on the ground to Charlie Pick at second, and he won't come up with it. That's an error on the Cubs' second baseman. Ruth reaches first. Thomas moves down to third. And the Sox have runners in the corners, 2 away in the top of the order, and Harry Hooper coming up to bat. So 2nd error of the game for the Cubs. And Hooper with a chance to double the lead here for the Sox. So Vaughn winds, and he delivers 114. That's a 314. And Hooper's going to nub that one on the ground. It's rolling out past the mound towards shortstop. In comes Holliker. He tries to barehand it, but he can't field it cleanly. It's an infield hit for Hooper. Thomas scores the Red Sox second run, and Ruth moves down to second. 2-0 Red Sox. And they've scored both runs without a ball leaving the infield. That'll bring up Sheen with 2 outs, runners at first and second. 2-11, that's a 4-11, and that's hit sharply but right at the shortstop. Holliker will throw to first for the out that retires the side. But the Sox get a run on a hit, and they leave 2, and they expand their lead to 2-0 as we reach the 7th inning stretch. So on the 6th, the Sox score a run on a hit batsman, a sacrifice, a stolen base, and a pass ball. And here in the 7th, a walk, an error, and an infield hit. And all that weak contact is combined to put the Cubs behind the 8 ball here as they come up on the bottom of the 7th, down 2-0, and Charlie Holliker to lead it off. 256 against a lefty. That's hit pretty well, but right at the shortstop, and that'll be no problem for Everett Scott. And there's 1 out. Les Mann, who singled and grounded out. 420 against a lefty, and he skies that one into foul ground next to first base. Stuffy McGinnis straddles the line just in foul territory, and he'll make the catch for the second out. And Dode Paskert comes up. He has fouled the first and struck out swinging. 559. That's hit on the ground to Fred Thomas at third. There's Fred. And he's going to bobble that for an error. So first error of the game for the Red Sox. And the Cubs have a base runner here with 2 outs in the 7th. And that'll bring up Fred Merkel. He's grounded to third twice. 118. And that's hit slowly on the ground to first base. McGinnis up with it, Ruth covering, and he takes the flip for the out that retires the side. So no runs on no hits, 1 runner left on base. The Cubs get nothing in the 7th, and we head to the 8th with the Red Sox holding a 2-0 lead. And both our starting pitchers are now vulnerable to fatigue as we go to the 8th. And leading it off for the Red Sox will be center fielder Amos Strunk. He is flied to left, grounded to first, and walked. 385 to Strunk, and that's a can of corn into left field, where it'll be taken by Les Mann for the first out. And George Whiteman stands in 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. 375. And Whiteman hits that on the ground to shortstop. Up with it is Holliker. Oh, and it falls out of his glove as he makes the transfer. That's going to be an error on the Cubs shortstop. 3rd error of the game for Chicago. And Whiteman reaches base for the first time today. Now, the Red Sox have the lead. Whiteman is a speed 4 against a catcher arm 5, so the auto manager says he can try to get a jump. So he's a steal 4 against a hold 6, and it's not enough. So McGinnis will bat with a runner at first and 1 away. 167, and Stuffy hits that one up the stovepipe into center field, where Paskert is standing, doesn't have to move. He puts it away for the second out. Whiteman's going to try for the jump again. Again, 4 against a 6. This time he gets the 12 he needs, so he's going as a... I think he's a speed 4. Yep, speed 4 against an arm 5. So he needs an 11 to steal the bag. 5 and 2 is 7. He's gunned down at second. So Cuts dealing 2 to 4. Whiteman is erased. The Red Sox get no runs on no hits, and they leave nobody in the top of the 8th. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. The Cubs down to their last 6 outs, down 2 runs. And they have the 6, 7, and 8 batters coming up to face Babe Ruth. Charlie Pickle stand in. He's singled and flied to center. 3-16. Pick hits that one on the ground, past the mound, out to shortstop, and it's not going to be able to be fielded cleanly by Scott, and it's an infield base hit. Pick's second hit of the game. And it gets the Cub 8th off to a good start. Charlie Deal will hit with a runner at first and 1 away. 686. 10 from home and 10 from pitcher fatigue. That's a 706. That's going to be hit deep to center. Deal is a power 1. And 10 more is 11. So 11 to center. That's a base hit. That'll scoot Pick all the way around to third. So men at the corners. 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th. And Ruth, for the first time in the game, in some trouble. Brings up Killefer, who's 2 for 2 for the Cubs. He had 2 of the Cubs' 4 base hits before this inning. So the Sox will play the infield back. Pitch to Killefer is a 226 against a righty, and that's just what the doctor ordered. It's a ground ball, the second, up with a Desheen. He flips to Scott, on to first, double play. 4-6-3. Deal is erased. Pick scores the Cubs' first run. But there are now 2 outs, nobody on, and the pitcher's spot up. So the Cubs look down their bench. And they will pinch hit for Vaughn. Here, so Bob O'Farrell will pinch hit here in the bottom of the 8th. In a regular season game in this era, they likely would not pinch hit, even though they were only down by a run in the 8th. It's a World Series here, so pull out all the stops. So Ruth will look in at the pinch hitter. 106, and that's tapped back to the box. Ruth has it over to McGinnis at first, and that retires the Cubs. They get a run on 2 hits, and they leave nobody, but a huge double play ball avoids further trouble for the Red Sox. And we'll go to the 9th with the score 2-1 Boston, and the Cubs will need a new pitcher. So, let's see. they will go to Paul Carter, who was, to the extent they had things back in the day, kind of their main relief guy. He tied for the team lead with 2 saves and pitched 17 times in relief. So Carter will come in to face the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the Red Sox lineup here in the 9th. And Everett Scott will lead it off. 130. That's a fly ball to left field. Les Mann will pound the glove and put that one away for the first out. And third baseman Fred Thomas, who's walked 3 times and scored what right now is the potential winning run. 399 is the pitch to Thomas, and that's driven deep to left. Back it goes, and it's gone. How about that? Fred Thomas greets Paul Carter, his second batter, with a drive into the left field seats. And just like that, the Red Sox lead is extended to 2 runs again. 3-1 Boston. And a hush falls over the crowd at Comiskey Park, who'd gotten energized after the Cubs had scored in the bottom of the 8th. Now you could hear a pin drop in here. So Agnew will bat. 138. And he also hits the ball in the air to left field, where Mann will have no problem putting it away. And the Bambino will come up with 2 outs and nobody on. 427 against a righty. And Babe crushes that one into the gap in right center field. That'll get through the outfielders and all the way to the wall. And the Babe trots into second with a 2-out double. And Carter giving up some hard contact here in the 9th. The Cubs really can't afford to give up any more. And Hooper will come up with Ruth on second and 2 away. 494 against a righty, and that's skied to center field. Paskett will take 3 or 4 steps to his left. Makes the catch to retire the side, but the Red Sox get a run on 2 hits and they leave 1. And Babe Ruth will go to the bottom of the 9th with a 3-1 lead here in Game 1 of the 1918 World Series. And he will face the top of the Cubs order, Max Flack, Charlie Holliker, and Les Mann. So Flack digs in. He's grounded to first, hit him to a 3-6-3 double play, and skied to center. The pitch from Ruth, 591. That's hit in the air out to Harry Hooper in right. And he will make the easy catch. 1 down in the 9th. And that'll bring up the Cubs all-around star, Charlie Holliker. Charlie's flied to left twice and grounded to short. The Babe with the windup and the pitch. 198. And Holliker bloops that one into right field for a base hit. And the Cubs stay alive. Now the tying run will come to the plate in the person of Les Mann. He singled and caught stealing, grounded to short, and fouled out to first. Babe's pitch, 270 against a righty. That's a 560, and that's hit hard on the ground to Everett Scott. He flips the Sheen at second for 1, and on to first for the double play. It's 6-4-3 that retires the side, retires the Cubs, and ends the ball game. And the Boston Red Sox win Game 1 of the 1918 World Series by a score of 3-1. The Cubs ground into 4 double plays that more or less doomed them. The Red Sox get 3 runs on 4 hits, and they make 1 error. The Cubs get 1 run on 7 hits and 3 errors. But those 4 double plays were absolutely crucial in securing the win for Babe Ruth and the Red Sox. Ruth with the win, Hippo Vaughn takes the loss, and the Red Sox move in front in the 1918 World Series. That's all for today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And until next time, as we look forward to the next 2,000 games of season ticket baseball, we will see you later.